Tell us all about 4DX because I've never been.
What?
Yeah.
You?
I always thought it was kind of gimmicky, man. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. It is, but I love it. It is honestly my favorite viewing experience. 4DX, I swear to God, it moves 10 times more. You are going, you need a seatbelt, but they don't put them in. So you kind of like keep slipping out of the seat, so you got to stay adjusted. But, okay, so say you're in a speeding car. They have fans on the top of the theater, and they gush at you. So your hair's moving like this when you're in the car. The seat's rumbling like you're in a car that's moving. And then if there's a rainy scene or somebody splashes, there's either water that'll spurt in your face or just actually like rain down on you. And then obviously the wind picks up, so it's moving every way. It's tight. You don't leave soaked, but it's tight.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Films and Fika. I don't even know if we should call it that anymore because that guy's not Algot. Algot left us. He had better shit to do, and he was the Swedish one. So I don't really know if we should call it Films and Fika anymore. You're Canadian, Larry.
Yeah, this is my coffee for the day. So.
Oh, there you go. So Larry's Canadian, I'm Mexican. We don't really do tea time. I guess you guys would more than we do.
That's the whole reason you're here, right? It's for the Fika.
Yeah. Who cares about the movies? It's about our deep knowledge of Swedish coffee culture. Anyways, Algot took a summer job. Fuck him. We don't need him. And he's up in the mountains and he can't really record. So for the next couple episodes, we're going to have Larry on as a guest and probably just watch movies that Algot wouldn't watch.
Like, is that our goal?
Yeah, mostly. Well, the thing is, I think especially with this one, an Identity, where they're a little bit more like slashery, thrillery kind of movies. Yeah, he hates horror, so I don't know if he would be able to stand it. How you been, Larry? Tell us a little bit about since the last time that we've seen you.
So stressful. Okay, so as you can see, there's usually movies here just packed up, and now there's nothing back there. It's just empty shelves and boxes out in the hall. So our lease was up in July. Landlord said like 2 months before, like, hey, you guys are good to stay here for as long as you need to. You know, like, I like having you. You guys are good. So you guys can stay here as long as you need to. So with that money I saved up for first and last month's rent for somewhere else, I then bought a bed, which is now behind me too. And then I replaced some speakers, and I bought a shit ton of Stephen King books. And then the next month, not even next month, like 2 weeks later, he messages us, yo, I'm getting divorced. I kind of need to sell the place to have some funds. And we're going to go, oh, fuck. Okay.
Fuck.
So it is what it is. We start looking. There's 5 of us. And we just start looking. We have a budget. We got to make the budget. And we just keep getting rejected. So eventually, crunch time's coming. Like, it's halfway through June now. And my roommates got accepted someplace else that is too small to accommodate me. And so we discussed it, and we felt that it was best, because we kept getting rejected, that they should just take it so that they're not screwed. And so I'm moving back in with my parents at the age of 30. And I can't take half of my shit. Like, these drawers, the shelves, they're going in the garbage. There's nothing I can do. I just sold my couch yesterday, and that's been a nightmare. Because the lady that I sold it to, apparently she has a problem with e-transfers on her end. So she sends me a check for the couch. It's all good. Check. I deposit the check, and my bank holds on to the checks for 5 days. But here's the thing. She gave me well over what I was asking. So I said, what is this?
Yeah.
She's setting up somebody to come pick it up and stuff, and she wants me to pay for it via the extra money via e-transfer because her e-transfer doesn't work. I have gotten 50 messages from her like, why haven't they gotten paid yet? I'm like, because it holds it for 5 days. And she says, no, my stuff's instant. I'm like, I know your stuff's instant, but my bank isn't working like that. My bank holds it for 5 days. So now here's the thing. I didn't know that was going to be the case. My roommate moved his car out of the garage. The couch is in the garage, taking up all the room. We're going to get a $30 parking violation every day until this goes through. If it's just 5 days, $130 right there. If it's business days, like $210. So that's what's going on with me right now. But I do have this nice coffee cup.
Who the fuck sends a check in 2021 though? Like, damn.
I don't know how old she is. All I know is that I have a message to respond to her at, which I will do as soon as we're done this podcast.
You gotta keep those priorities straight. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Huge solid. Let's talk about the hair though. The hair's different too from last time that we saw you.
Yeah, it's much more. I don't know what you want to call it. Look at that lip flip though.
Yeah. It's very
it's shiny.
You know, it's like I feel you remind me of characters in oh fuck, what's his name? Linklater movies.
Yeah.
Richard Linklater. Yeah.
Everybody wants them or something. I don't.
Yeah.
Did you see the 1979 Salem's Lot?
No.
I look like the main actor in that. He's got like, I don't know if you can load up a still right here with it, but just load it up. It's definitely very 70s, man. And I cannot wait for a haircut. I'm gonna go for the hair I had in Linger a While, if you remember that one.
Yeah, for sure. Linger a While is a short that Larry and I worked with a while ago. I was looking at, you know, a bunch of shit because I moved. So, you know, all this stuff piles up and it craps up, and then you look through them and you find shit. I found so many contracts and so many fucking pieces of paperwork, and I was like, fuck, man, that was a long time ago. That was 2 years ago already. It's insane.
There was I got memories on my Facebook from one time I was on set. You weren't part of this one. It's called My Dinner with Chuck, and we filmed it 2 years ago. It's not even out yet because they meant to put it out like the next Halloween, and then I don't remember what happened. We just did the ADR for it around the beginning of the pandemic, and then they want to put it out after the pandemic and put it in festivals and stuff. But that one's going to be super bittersweet to watch because I don't want to give too much away because like it's not my thing and it's not out. So I'll try to sell it without giving too much away, but I don't know how not to. So there's an alien. And, on set, I voiced the alien and I played a waiter. So it was Bar. You know Bar? I know you know Bar. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so she asked me, it was this production, she's like, yo, Larry, can you come out and help us out? I was like, for sure, anything for you. So she's like, it's just this waiter role. He's got like 5 lines. I was like, all right, cool, yeah, here's what it is. So I show up to set, and then they're like, we need somebody to read for the alien. I was, bro, I got you. You have a trained actor here? And you're just going to use me to be a waiter? I got this.
Yeah, man.
So I read for the alien, and then I end up reading for him for like 3 days. And then we get done. Oh, and because they had somebody in mind to do the voice, so they wanted to make sure they could get him contractually. But if not, then it would go to me. And I was like, that'd be tight. Hell yeah. So I did my waiter with like a Irish-Scottish accent, like mixed between both, so you couldn't quite pinpoint it. It's just 5 lines. Who gives a shit? So did it during the pandemic. They did get the other guy, so all the alien stuff is dubbed over with him. So now every time I watch it, I'm going to be like, that could have been me. And then when I did the ADR, I was looking at the shots, Out of my 5 lines, I'm only on screen for 2 of them. So, this is a bittersweet experience.
It's the glamorous life.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel people don't really know how many shorts are in pre and posts and like so many different stages of production because they are arguably one of the hardest things to do just because it's a short and you have to make it concise and to the point and it has to be entertaining but also not too long, and also everyone who makes shorts is broke, and so it's a very specific process of, okay, now we have money to do this thing, and now we have money to do this thing, and now we finally got the actor to do the alien voice because now we have the money to pay him. It's insane, to be completely honest.
I'll see if I can find the actor they got, because he was, as far as I understand, bigger in the 90s on like YTV or Nickelodeon or something. Let me see. Did a lot of voice acting. And it is called My Dinner with Chuck. Everybody keep an eye out for it. Yep, little self-promotion there.
Yep, shameless plug.
All right, Richard M. Dumont is the actor voicing the alien. He is known for... he does a lot of video games, apparently, right now. He was in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Origins. From 1992 to 2000, he was in Are You Afraid of the Dark?
No shit.
Yeah. He's got credited 99 actor credits, so good for him.
Good for him.
Also, the one that I said from 1990... Oh, sorry. Apparently, Are You Afraid of the Dark got rebooted, and he's already done one episode of that.
It got rebooted. Everything's getting fucking rebooted.
Yeah, it says 2021. It might not even be out yet.
Everyone just has a streaming service now, or is part of a streaming service, and now everything's getting a fucking reboot. And I'm like, but why though? I don't need to know where these characters are 20 years later. Like with the Friends reunion, there was people who were like, oh, but why didn't we see like the continuation of the storyline? And I was like, bruh, because everyone would have fucking hated that, because no one would have been happy. We all have our own ideas of where these characters are, you know?
That's what they should do. They should just get a culmination of like 20 years of fan fiction, see which ones they like, go with it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Otherwise, it's too hard to please people, and then you add the pressure of it being like a huge fucking thing. No, I would not do that. So, coming back on track a little bit, what is it, Larry, with you and older films? Like the movie that we're talking about today, Sunshine, by the way. It's a 2007 film. And yeah, like every time that we bring you on, you have this weird, like, I don't want to say occult, but it's like definitely on the lesser known side of film. For a lot of us, but weirdly your episodes are also some of the ones that get watched the most.
No
so
shit.
Then I am assuming there's like culty followings for these kinds of movies, and I'm just like, where did you get your passion for them? Was it like a father-son thing? Was it things that your friends showed you? Was it like just your own shit?
Yeah, no, so they weren't old for me when I saw them. I saw them when they came out. Like when we did Frequency, I saw that in theaters when it came out. Sphere, I did catch because my dad rented, but me and my father, we really don't agree on any movies. And me and my sister, we used to get, there was a deal, 7 movies, $7, 7 days. We would rent them, and then we would watch them all in like the span of a day and a half, and then go and exchange and get more. So just watched anything we could, and these are the ones that stuck out. Sunshine, I remember seeing the trailer for it. I think it was on IGN, and I was like, oh, that looks sick. So then I actively seeked that movie out when it came out, because I don't think we got it in theaters where I lived. So I had to wait for a physical DVD copy. Soon as it was available, I went out, I rented it. I dug it. I dug the shit out of it. I showed so many people that movie. And then it stuck with you. I must have brought it up one episode before, and then you wanted to watch it.
Yep. Yeah, you brought it up when we were talking about Sphere, I think. Mostly because it's like, the one thing, like the specific subgenre of sci-fi that I really, really enjoy is basically space travel gone wrong, which is most sci-fi, to be completely honest. If you think about it, like, oh, if we're traveling through space, man, something has to go wrong. But yeah, no, I just, you talked about it and I was like, yeah, man, this is something that I really want to check out. Also, 7 movie, 7 days, $7. What the fuck? That's a deal.
That was on VHS, bro.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Now you have companies out here trying to charge us $25 for a digital copy of this piece of crap.
You didn't watch it on Plex?
No, I did. I meant like Disney with the whole
right.
things that they're doing,
The
and all
premium
that
or
shit.
something, the early access or something.
Yeah. Basically, it's like where it's released the same day as it's released on theaters.
Mhm.
Well, theaters now that they're open, and they're like, we gotta make that bank. And I guess it makes sense to a certain extent because there's a bunch of people working on this film. But I don't know, maybe they should work out like student discounts, like it makes sense
Yeah.
for a family of 7. It's like, okay, you're 6 people, 7 people, 4 people, you pay one price. I get that. But it's like, if you're a student, you're the only one watching that film. It's one of the most expensive theater tickets that you've ever
Yeah.
bought.
I mean, I used to go to 4DX all the time, so it's about $25 that way too. But that's a choice.
Yeah.
It's like there were cheaper options. I just chose that experience for the extra.
Tell us all about 4DX because I've never been.
What?
Yeah.
You?
I always thought it was kind of gimmicky, man. I'm sorry.
Oh my god. It is, but I love it. It is honestly my favorite viewing experience. I'm going to miss the shit out of it when I got to leave the city in 10 days. 9 days. 9 days. So, you know D-Box, where the seat moves?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pussy stuff. This 4DX makes that seem just like a little car ride. 4DX, I swear to God, it moves 10 times more. You are going, you need a seatbelt, but they don't put them in. So you kind of like keep slipping out of the seat, so you got to stay adjusted. But, okay. So, say you're in a speeding car. They have fans on the top of the theater, and they gush at you. So your hair's moving like this when you're in the car. The seat's rumbling like you're in a car that's moving. And then if there's a rainy scene or somebody splashes, there's either water that'll spurt in your face or just actually like rain down on you. And then obviously the wind picks up, so it's moving every way. It's tight. You don't leave soaked, but it's tight. I remember when I saw my first Star Wars movie in 4DX, I was like, are they going to take the fucking air out of the room? This is going to be amazing. There was Blade Runner 2049. I saw that in 4DX, and I was just like, this is a weird one. There's also smells, and that's what made me think of it. There's a scene in that movie where it's right before Gosling meets Harrison Ford, and he's just like in the desert area, and there's a bunch of bees in one shot. I'm just like, right on. If it wasn't for 4DX, I'd say that seems slightly pointless to me. Because in 4DX, the second they showed the bees, the whole room smelled like honey. It was tight.
Oh, shit. That sounds cool. That sounds really cool.
I was going to say, the best viewing experience I've ever seen in 4DX was Mission Impossible Fallout. That was some tight-ass 4D.
Fuck, man. I love that movie. I love that movie shamelessly, honestly. I watched it a lot.
At the beginning of the pandemic, I rewatched all of them with my buddy Matt, who has seen them all, and then my buddy Dan, who hadn't seen any of them. So we watched them all in one day. We just binge watched it, and I would have told you at the beginning that Fallout would have been my favorite. After rewatching them all back to back to back to back to back to back, I think that was as many. Number 5, I think, is my favorite, followed closely by Fallout. So it goes Rogue Nation for me, and then Fallout.
Man, honestly, I fucking enjoy all of them except for the second one.
See, I enjoy the second one too. I do agree it's the weakest of them, but I still enjoy it. It's a fucking it's like an Alfred Hitchcock remake of I want to say Rebecca, but I don't think that's correct. But it's been a long time.
No. It is it doesn't feel like it goes well with the rest of the series, and it's just like out there, and so much of it is just like it's fun, but um I can't wait for 9 to come out. That's just like high up there on anticipation.
All right, well then I can't wait for 8 then, just so you can get to 9.
Sorry.
Sorry. He said. Was that your Canadian impression?
Huh?
Sorry.
Yeah, that was my Canadian. Sorry.
Sorry.
You see, it's an actual thing. I was on TikTok the other day, and there's this chick that I follow, and she talks about a lot of stuff, and then she goes, so I get this a lot in the comments, like, where am I from? Like, what's my accent from? And she's like, Torontonian. That's how I speak. And I'm like, yes, that is exactly how you speak. It's a thing, man. Like, actively, because I've honestly never been to anywhere other than Vancouver in Canada, but I do feel Torontonians do speak a certain ways, and it's very recognizable to me.
Honestly, I'm not hip to the lingo. I don't know why I put air quotes there. I'm talking with my hair now. That's a 70s term.
Alrighty, Larry, we like doing recommendations on the show. As you know, you've been here before. You know the drill, but I have to tell the new listeners. So we recommend a book or a show or a movie or whatever.
Well, okay, I didn't know we could recommend books.
Yeah, for sure. Anything that you want.
All right, well then I got 2.
Hit it.
All right, for my movie, I recommend a little lesser known film from like 1991, I want to say. I'm not looking this up. It's just this little animated film. I don't think it did very well, so I don't know how many people missed it, but it's called Beauty and the Beast. And so what it's about is this guy that's like super vain, and so he gets turned into a beast, and then he meets this very nice lady who can read, very literate for the time, and you know what? He doesn't even come across to her that she's super attractive, even though in the art you're like, should I be attracted to art? It's a weird feeling, even as a young boy. But then she's like, I don't want to be with you, you hairy beast, which then puts things into you at later ages when you become a hairy beast. I don't know if you can see my chest hair. But then at the end, when he turns back to human, she's like, oh my God, yeah, I would. Oh my God, yeah, I will. So what it says to you is either shave a lot, or just it's against interspecies erotica, and I guess we should all be against that. So good message. Yeah. Even though I'm not going to shave my whole body, somebody's going to get a beast. As for books, because I didn't know we could do this, I will recommend The Dark Half by Stephen King. It's about so Stephen King has a pseudonym. It's Richard Bachman, and he hasn't written as him since I think 1996. I want to say, but before then, he took a big hiatus where he. Oh, you're gonna say something?
I think he stopped after the coke.
Maybe.
Like I feel him being coked up all the time made it so that he wrote a lot. So then he was like, "Man, I gotta split this shit in the middle."
He just wrote 2 books this year, dude. He's still going.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say though? Yeah. So, this character has a pseudonym, and he kills the pseudonym. He's like, okay, I've been found out, so I'm just gonna say, take all responsibility. It's me. So they do this whole little article about the death of his pseudonym, and now he's coming out. So they do a like little fake gravestone or whatever. But then, where they did this fake photo, well, it's a real photo shoot for a fake person. The ground opens up, and he comes out afterwards, right where the fake tombstone was, and now his pseudonym is coming to life, and he is trying to get him to write for him again because he doesn't want to die. And so that's literally, long story short, there's way more to it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've gotten a lot into reading lately, which is I like, but I got through that book in 8 days.
Damn.
Yeah. I know you read a lot too, so you could probably get through it way faster.
Well, honestly, I'm kind of like in a reading slump. Actually,
Yeah.
I haven't picked up in a book in a while, which happens. Like
I just packed
there's
mine
just
all up. I
times where,
can't read. I don't have a choice.
yeah. But I was really happy to see that you got into Stephen King. Stephen King was the reason why I kept reading as a
No
teenager.
way. That's tight.
Like for me, I started reading a lot as a kid, but you read kid stuff
Yeah.
like Chronicles of Narnia or like Harry Potter or whatever. And then as I started going into middle school, high school, I was like, okay, I want to try different shit. And I was watching Friends because Friends, was a thing in my life for a really long time. So I was watching Friends, and that episode where Rachel and
Oh, The
Joey are reading
Shining?
The Shining came up. Yeah, so I was like, I mean, could it really be that scary? Like, I wanted to check this out, so I read The Shining. It's not that scary.
No.
I was younger, and there were parts where I was like, that just happened, I guess. But yeah, no, Stephen King is a great author to just dive into because he has so many different books in different genres, and you might like some of his more like serious stuff like Revival, and you might like some of his more classic 1990s coked up Stephen King. When you say you had gone out and bought Stephen King books, I was like, so you bought 10, which is
No.
like a reasonable number.
Dude, okay, so we got locked down again in Canada, and literally the day before they announced it, I went to Value Village. I was in the Value Village. I had 5 Stephen King books in my cart, and then they announced while I was there. I got the notification on my phone. Yeah, lockdown starts tonight at midnight. I bought every Stephen King book they had. I went right back, turned around, and then I went online, bought won a bunch of eBay bids. Yeah. So I got quite a few. And when I go back to my hometown, my friend's mother actually picked me up some that I'm missing. So I've got even more to go through.
That's dope.
I will say right now, early King, not my favorite. Later King so far, I think, has been holding well to me. Anyway, early King is so overdrawn. Like, you get so much information, which is nice. Say if I was an actor, as I like to think I am, and I was studying for a role, I would love his early stuff because I would find out everything about every character.
Yeah.
But I think it stalls the story. It's like, okay, we could get to plot here. There was a part in Salem's Lot, which is the last one I read. 653 pages, I think it was. It took like 300 and something just to get a fucking vampire. And there was one part where have you read it?
Not all of it. I DNF'd it.
There's one part where this body goes to the next town over to the corner, and it's saying, this is about 500 pages in, and it's dragging. I'm just like, just give me the plot, give me the story. I just want to keep going.
Yeah.
There's this coroner, and he looks at this body that's turning into a vampire, and it says he had a urge of, like, he felt scared, and he's never felt this scared before in his life. And I was like, okay, that's where we end it. He's never felt that scared before in his life. And then the next line, except for when he was a child. And then I go, fuck you, King. Don't do it. Don't you tell me about when he was a kid. We're never going to meet this guy again. And yes, we find out about what scared him when he was a kid. I'm just, God damn it, reading.
I have to agree with you, to be completely honest. I love The Shining. I think The Shining is probably, that's why it's a staple of his work. But I read Carrie, and Carrie it's a short book, but it honestly felt eternal.
No, I almost thought about not packing that up because I was like, it's short enough, I could probably get through it. And then I was like, but it's early King, so I don't know if I'm in the mood after just doing another early King to go to another early King. So I might jump around in his bookography. I don't know what you call it.
Me neither, but we'll stick with your word.
Right
on. So what's been your favorite from what you've read of him?
Honestly, the one I recommended, actually, no, that's not true. It was easily my favorite. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
And then it might be Doctor Sleep, which I know I gushed about the movie, but the book is way different, and I still enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And it didn't take away from the movie because, like I said, it's way different. So it's not hard to not compare the two. That's nice. And then The Dark Half, easily. That's my top 3 right there. So it, number 1. Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange. What the fuck?
Doctor Sleep.
Doctor Sleep. And The Dark Half.
Oh man.
Actually, I did a live
honestly,
stream on my Twitch where I read all of Elevation in just one sitting. It took
I haven't
3.5 hours.
Elevation.
It's not very big. It's like 180 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like, to me, us liking it is totally contradictory to what we just talked about how he like overdraws everything. But
those characters actually connect and mean something to the story. The only I will argue the only part that doesn't necessarily do it would be burped. The only part that I don't think would be chapter 2 with the hate beating, like where they beat up the gay guys and throw them off the bridge. Because a lot of those characters don't come back, but some of the police officers do. So it's like you get a sense of that, and then obviously Pennywise shows up to bite the armpit. But there's the interludes. They are called interludes. It's like you can skip them if you want, but it gives you a history of the town. And I actually thought that was some of the sickest thing, like the black spot. If you remember that stuff with the black spot, that is probably my favorite part of the book, and it takes place
really dope.
Like 50 or 60 years before the events of the book.
Yeah.
And you get a young Dick Halloran from The Shining there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I love how he keeps interconnecting his shit throughout the books. And for me, it just really works, even though some of the stuff is dated, because the kids are kids in the 50s, not the 80s, like in the movie. So their fears are like the classic Universal movies, and that feels like a little bit foreign to a lot of us. But at the same time, I feel like he makes these kids feel so real that you're just in it with them. And I think it is definitely my favorite as well.
Yeah,
although it does get kind of fucking weird. Like you can see the cocaine show up.
There's not an aspect of that book that I don't enjoy. I honestly, after I've seen the TV miniseries, like the 2-episode thing, and then I watched obviously the 2-parter movie. And as I read the book, I was just like, this should be a fucking like mini series with a minimum of 8 episodes. Maximum, make that thing a fucking 12 episode. We can get this all in, and if somebody does this correctly, this would be fantastic. Like, obviously, you have to cut out the child sex scene, but here's the thing about that child sex scene. Everybody was like just talking about how, I can't believe these kids had sex or whatever. So I was getting ready for like some really weird shit. And then when it happens in the book, I was okay with it. And I'm not sure I'm okay with that. Put that together. Okay.
It's like I feel like the child sex scene is definitely over. It's not an over exaggeration. I understand why it's a weird thing to read, especially because of like the fact that this is 2021.
Yeah, and they were all 11-year-olds
were coming out. But I don't know. I feel like we forget how young people used to develop before. Like, and it comes out in different pieces of media too. But I remember we read a book in Spanish literature class in like 9th grade, I think. And it's about this little boy and how he like falls in love for his with his neighbor. And she's like, I think she's like 30 or about to turn 30, and he's like 12. And long story short, when he finally tells her at the end of the book, it's because she's like moving away or something. And so she like tenderly kisses him on the lips for like a second, and half of the people in my class were losing their fucking shit. They were like, oh my god, what the fuck? And I'm like, it was It was one kiss, yo. I don't know.
They didn't put any description of where her hands were. Just calm down, okay, guys?
Yeah, it was just like I don't know, man. I feel like sometimes, especially over here in America, in the Americas, people get really freaked out about sex very easily.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't get that either.
Yeah. Anywho, for my recommendation, I want to stay within the sci-fi genre.
Cool.
Mostly because of my love for the type of movie that we saw, where it's like it's a straight up sci-fi, and I fucking love that. And me and Algot were talking about it before when we watched Stowaway, which is this new space travel movie on Netflix, and how it's like, you know, it's very it tries to be very realistic or plausible. But I enjoy when it's just like they speak for 5 or 10 minutes of exposition, and it's like none of that made sense, and I love it. So basic, and I also like creature features. I think those are fucking great. So I wanted to recommend a movie that I feel like gets a lot of hate, and I get why, but I also think it's really fun, and it's honestly pretty well made. I wanted to recommend Life, which is with it's oh my god, I'm totally blanking on her name, even though I love her. Rebecca Ferguson. Yeah. And Jake Gyllenhaal's in there, right? And I'm pretty sure it's Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
I thought that movie was dope, honestly. Dude. And I get people thought that it was a lot like Alien, but I'm like, why is that a bad thing?
Dude, I call it Alien 1.9 even. I think it's Alien turned up to 11. And I know it's your recommendation. I hate the fucking bum rush. It's from the writer, one of the writers of Deadpool, and there's Ryan Reynolds in there, so no spoilers, but I'm not actually a Ryan Reynolds fan, and I like what goes on in this film.
I thought, here's the thing, I think Ryan Reynolds is pretty one-notey.
Yes.
Especially after he started playing Deadpool. I feel like everything is just like, now that's him. That's his whole thing.
I thought that before. Like, even him and Blade Trinity. It's like, this is not the tone of this movie. Like, if you go through that series, why are you doing this? But he does it in everything. The movie where I didn't mind it was Just Friends. I don't know if you've seen Just Friends. I didn't mind it in that. And then, he basically does the same character for everything. And that really bothers me.
And like it's fun from time to time, right? Like it's an okay thing to do, but after a while it's like, I don't know, I feel there's actors who just fall into that. I feel like Melissa McCarthy, so another really obnoxious one in my head. Yeah. Where it's like, girl, you could do something else.
I know, there's people where you're like, okay, this person in this movie, I know exactly what they're going to give me. Yeah, I get it. But that's where you mix it up with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Dude, honestly, I could see Jake Gyllenhaal in anything. I think he's fucking amazing, man. I think Life gets a really bad rep just because of the similarities between it and Alien. But I agree with what you said. I think it just... Alien is really good and it still holds up, and I think it's an amazing movie. But, you know, there's new technology that people are able to do filmmaking with, and it adds to it. Also, the cast is fucking dope as shit. And I remember when it came out, and this is a little bit spoilery, so if you don't want to hear about it, you can skim like the next 30 seconds. But I remember when it came out, because it's a Sony movie, everyone was like, holy shit, man, this is like a Venom prequel kind of thing. And I was like, I mean, I'm down for that, honestly. Like, if they just pulled it out of the fucking rug, like pulled the rug from under us, I think it would have been a really cool marketing thing where it's like, and now we have Venom. But no. For Venom, we just got this whole... Did you like Venom?
I like Tom Hardy.
Yeah, okay. So we're like on the same page. Alrighty, so let's go from one sci-fi universe to the next. And we are back. And simply because I like how Larry does this type of stuff, I will let him introduce the film to you guys. We're talking about Sunshine, which was released in 2007. And killer fucking cast.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's insane.
So, for cast members, we have... let me go through this. Cillian Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
Who? Scarecrow? What? We have a Rose Byrne from Insidious, which is what I would say she's from. You got this Chris Evans guy. You got Cliff Curtis, who's been with us before with Dr. Sleep.
Mm-hmm.
We have got more people that aren't loading. Michelle Yeoh from Tomorrow Never Dies, or, Memoirs of a Geisha. Or she's in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, right?
That too?
Yeah. And the other guy whose name I am going to butcher, Hiroyuki Sanada.
Yeah.
Right on.
Who's recently in Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you got Benedict Wong, who's also in Doctor Strange.
That's actually Doctor Strange.
Yeah. I call back to a mistake. Made it a joke. You got fucking Mark Strong, man. Mark Strong's always good in my opinion. And then you got this guy named Troy Garrity, who I have seen in other things, but he never blew me away. And I won't lie, he doesn't blow me away in this, but I don't hate him.
Yeah, he's literally just like the guy. Everyone is star level, or at least became to some degree star level. And he's just there. And that happens sometimes. But anyways, Sunshine. It was written by Alex Garland, which I was like, of course. Once I saw it on the credits, I was like, yep, that makes sense. Because it does, man.
Because he has done other things such as Annihilation, Ex Machina, 28 Days Later, which was also directed by Danny Boyle. And Danny Boyle also directed this film called Sunshine, which we are watching and talking about. Yeah. So crazy. Full circle right there.
Full circle. So for those of you who skipped right into the movie talk, hello, welcome. How are ya? Hope you're having a great day. Larry's here. Disclaimer, Algot's not going to be here for a while because he left us.
For the mountains.
He'll be back. They all come back. No, he got a job. We're fine. We still talk to each other. And we're talking about Sunshine. So if you skip to here, you're probably wondering when we're going to get to it. So, Larry, 5-minute, spoiler-free, quickie review. Go.
Okay, well, I'm going to first say what the movie's about. So, the movie's about the sun is dying. If the sun dies, we die. It freezes, we no heat. We die. That's it. End of humanity. So, we send a spaceship up there with a bomb the size of Manhattan to recharge the sun. That is the little synopsis. What my quick review is, all these characters make sense to me. I understand where they're coming from, why they're doing what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And once shit gets going, it doesn't stop. Shit is always happening. Yep. And there for me, boom, super entertaining. That was 5 minutes. My review of that is I was entertained all the time. I get what characters are doing. So I was in this world. I could follow it. Boom, I liked it. Now yours.
Alrighty. So I heard of this movie through you. I probably heard of it before, but it honestly stayed in my head after your pitch of the sun's dying, let's send a bomb to reignite it. I mean, fuck yeah, please sign me up. Honestly, man. And I didn't even know about the cast. I knew Cillian Murphy was in it because he's on the poster. Yeah. Looking very fucking jagged, if you ask me. But I didn't know about the star cast until I started watching it. And I was like, dude, this is an ensemble cast. It's insane, man. So yeah, I was really excited to watch it. Algot was a little bit iffy on it. I think he missed out. honestly.
We'll see. He probably won't even watch this episode. He'll be like, "I'm not in it. I don't care." And then he won't give this a shot.
But look, man, I like when movies really go all out into a weird, wacky plot line, and I feel this is a good example. I haven't seen it, but I know there's a Matthew McConaughey movie that deals with dragons in like a modern time.
Oh, you Reign of Fire?
I want to watch that. Yeah. Reign of Fire.
I like that one too.
Sure. And I've heard that it's also the type of movie that just commits to what it's trying to do and not go any further. And I appreciate when they do that, because I'm here for that. So in terms of my review, I was in it for all of it. To be completely honest, I love the cast. The visual effects hold the fuck up, man. Like,
yeah,
they
dude,
are so good.
Did you do any research into this?
Did
you do any research into it? Like, did you look into what they did?
Yeah, a little bit, but we'll get to it on the spoiler side of things.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm excited to hear your take on it too.
No, I was just gonna say that the visual effects, like most people, like they send it to a bunch of different places to get it all done in a timely manner. But they wanted it super consistent, so they just had one like company do it all, and it took a year just to get all the effects.
That's insane. I mean, it makes sense though, right? Like, it makes sense that if you want it to be consistent, especially in 2007 when all of this stuff was just kind of new, to be completely honest. Everything was constantly being developed and trying to figure out the best way to do it. I heard that the third act of this movie was kind of controversial, because it does kind of take a little bit of a left turn there. But I was honestly here for it. I enjoyed the shit out of it. And with that, we can jump straight into the spoiler discussion. And what was like your first experience with this movie? You saw it in theaters.
No, I didn't. No, the theaters didn't have it. I had to wait for this one to come out on video.
Okay.
So I rented it. I brought it home. I watched it with my sisters. They did not care for it at all. I loved it. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to put that on again right now. What the hell? That was tight. I turn around. They're like, yeah, we're leaving. And I go, what? What? Did we not see the same movie? They're like, didn't do anything for me. I thought it was kind of boring. Were you even watching? Were you on your phone? What do you mean it was boring? Stuff doesn't stop happening. What do you want from a movie? So, oh man, my first experience with it was yes. That was my first experience with it.
I agree, to be completely honest. I think it grabs you from the get-go. There's a couple of things that, are very 2007. I'm not going to lie. Especially the editing. It has a little bit of that music video edge to it. But I think Danny Boyle did a great job with the film. So we can talk about what we really enjoyed about it, what your favorite aspect of this movie is. And then we can get a little bit nitpicky.
I'll tell you what. Honestly, out of all the characters, okay, I'll explain. Since we're doing spoilers, I'll explain some things first, and then I'll ask you this question. Okay, so as you know, if you listen to the non-spoiler stuff, sun is dying. You got to go recharge your sun with a bomb the size of Manhattan. There was already one ship that had gone, and they lost contact with. 7 years later, they send out this second one to go do the job. Mm-hmm. On the way, they get near a planet, and it kind of acts as an antenna, so they get this radio signal, and it turns out it's a message from the original ship, which is Icarus, and their ship is Icarus too. And in the Greek mythology, Icarus had wings made from his father that were made of wax and feathers. Mm-hmm. He told him not to fly so close to the sun because, your wings will melt. It's made of wax. And not to go near the ocean because your wings will get wet. And so they'll get thick and you can't lift. He ended up loving the feel of flight so much that he got too close to the sun. They did melt and he landed in the ocean. Crazy. So anyway,
Crazy.
why call a fucking ship that if you know they're going to the sun? It's almost like you're setting it up for failure. But they did. And then they decided, no, fuck it. We'll call the other one Icarus too, not waterproof or something. But so they get going, and on the way they get this radio signal, and then they realize, hey, this is from the first ship. It's still out there. So we can go off our course, intersect with that, see what we can do, because they have another bomb. We have 2 chances at this. We can do this. Chris Evans' character is like, that is not our mission. We have what we need to get it done. Let's just go and let's just do it. Whereas they end up taking a vote, and other science officers have their say, and they say they want to take the risk because it's better to have 2 payloads than 1. And that's when shit goes on. So Benedict Wong's character, Trey, he's the mathematician. He has to set up the new trajectory, how they're going to go. There's so many variables in place that he forgets one of them, and he doesn't align the shields properly. Now, the shield obviously blocks out the heat of the sun. They're that close to the sun's going to fucking hurt. It's going to burn some shit. So the shields don't change right away. Boom, critical failure on the ship because the sun hits it in some places where as soon as that critical failure happens, then the shields auto-adjust. Whereas the shields, I wish they auto-adjusted before. We're in the future. Just make that a thing. But I understand. Movies got to make a story. Things that got to happen. So I get it. So that goes on. They end up, Cillian Murphy and the captain go out to fix up some of these panels, make it right.
Yeah.
The captain ends up dying out there. Benedict Wong.
Sad moment.
that visually too cool though with the. I don't even know how to describe it.
And I feel like in these 2 sequences, or mainly the whole spacewalk sequence, something has to go bad. If anyone goes on a spacewalk ever in a movie, something has to happen. If it doesn't, you just feel fucking cheated, man. But I love the production design of the ship itself. I think the shield is a super cool fucking contraption thing that works. And their suits, I think bulky spacesuits that just look whack should be a thing that is more constant in movies, because they're huge and they're bulky and have a slit that they can look through because they're so close to the sun. But it just really adds a lot to the whole sci-fi element of the film, which I heard that while they were making it, Alex Garland and Danny Boyle, they were collaborating on the script. They did consult a lot of people about the science and about all of these different ideas of what it is to space travel, and then they went that different route that a lot of directors do, and they were like, we have all this information now that we've gathered, and we're gonna toss it in the garbage because plot is more important to our science fiction film than being 100% accurate with the science. And I love that. I love that they chose to be true to what they were trying to say with the story and true to the characters and their motivations, more than we need to make an accurate space travel movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think literally right off the bat, you have to go in and accept the suspension of disbelief. Because, I'll say it again. They're flying with a bomb the size of Manhattan. All right? So you already... The second you accept that, which is right at the beginning, if you don't accept that, you're probably out.
Stop.
You have to accept that. And the second you accept that, then anything else that happens, you're like, okay, that's just, it is what it is. You tell me this is what it is, this is what it is. As long as you don't contradict what it is, we're in. And this movie does not contradict what it is. It knows what it is, and it goes for it.
Yeah, for sure. So the captain and Kappa, who's a physicist, which, he's ultimately the one who made the decision to go get the second payload, which I'm not going to lie, I think just comes from the fact that he's deeply insecure. Because I feel any other dude, a more rugged, seasoned space physicist, traveler, whatever you want to call him, would have been like, nah, man, we're good. But he's so young to me, and that's like one of the first things that, like you said, like if you're accepting the fact that they're carrying this bomb to reignite the sun, you have to just go with the flow and like take the punches as it throws them to you, because it's his bomb. He describes it as his bomb. And I'm like, man, but like, how old is he? Right? Like, realistically speaking, I understand that he's supposed to be some kind of genius, but I also like the idea that even though I assume that he's not like an arrogant prick about it, and he's just kind of very like, man, we're all in this together. It's kind of like a last hope effort. But yeah, so he chooses to go, and everyone's like, yeah, man, that makes sense. Well, not everyone, but mostly everyone.
You mean he chooses to go to the other ship, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say, I thought you meant for the spacewalk. I was like, that's not true. Okay.
Oh, no. Also, I think Chris Evans, when he's not being Captain America, which, you know, for a lot of people, he just is Captain America now. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I loved him in Knives Out. And that's why I love him in this, because he's like totally different. And he's like, no, I volunteer. And I was like, oh, here we go again, man. This fucking Boy Scout. And he's like, no, I volunteer Kappa. And I was like, oh, shit. So they're out. They're spacewalking. And shit goes wrong.
Yes. The sun is coming up on the shields. They gotta make it. They get to the last one. Kappa almost dies. Captain does die. Benedict Wong's character Trey feels all this guilt, like, this is my fault. I did all these things right to get us where we're going, but I fucked up this one thing, and it turned out to be a big fucking thing, and now somebody is dead, and it's because of me. And so now he feels all this guilt, and they put him in a little psych ward thing because they think he's suicidal, and they end up...
Yeah.
Yep, he is. We end up getting to the Icarus, the Icarus 1. We go on to the Icarus 1, and it is covered in dust. Like, probably too much dust. But,
yeah,
right on. I left out a part. When the sun hits the ship because the shields weren't aligned, their oxygen room, which is just filled with foliage and plants and stuff, goes up in flames. So now they're going to run out of oxygen. So that's a big thing, too.
Yeah.
And that would have never happened if they just stayed on course and didn't decide to leave. So I'm sure Benedict Wong's also feeling pretty guilty about that. So not only is one for sure dead, but all these other people could be dead because of me. So anyway.
Yeah.
Chris Evans doesn't blame Wong on that, because the whole situation would have never happened if Cillian Murphy's character Kappa didn't decide to go, didn't say it was the better option. However, Cliff Curtis's character is the one that put it in their heads to begin with.
That's what I was going to say, man. Like, if we're pointing fingers, man.
Yeah. So they get to the Icarus 1. They board it. They want to split up to cover the ground more fully, see what they can find. When they get there, they see the old crew sitting around like in ashes, and like it looks like a nice little painting. It's a work of art of murder. And if they took the time to count, they would notice that one person is missing, but they don't take that time to count. And when they get to the ship, there's flashes from a picture of the crew together, and it's just like there's like a subliminal. You're like, did I see something? And then as they keep appearing, you're like, oh no, I'm definitely seeing something. There's something here. But the first one, you're like, wait, what is this?
Yeah, and I feel it really works because honestly, for me, it was just kind of like a what the fuck moment, and then you're
paying attention,
caught in this moment of like, exactly. I don't want to miss the next one, I just want to see it, for sure. And I feel like the moment that they're like, we should split up, I'm like, of course you should, man. Like, if you don't, no one's gonna die. So please proceed.
If you guys don't split up, there's no way for somebody to sneak on to yours, I mean, why would that happen? It's been 7 years. How could that happen? So anyway.
But I love, though, that, you see these little bits of editing that really bring the plot forward, where it's like we see Wong out of the medical bay,
Yeah.
right? Like we see his character listening on to what's going on the ship, and he already knows that there's not enough oxygen for them, and they've already presented the idea between some of them that 3 of the crew members are gonna have to die just so that they can reach their mission. Like, going back home has completely gone out of the question. It's out of the question. It's not gonna happen. But they show you him listening on, and you're like, okay, so he's out. What's gonna happen? And then while the rest of the guys are investigating the beautiful murder scene, the Icarus 2 detaches itself from the Icarus 1.
Doesn't just detach itself. The airlock snaps off.
And for a moment, I honestly thought it was Benedict Wong's character. I was like, yeah, man, I mean, it makes sense. Like, he feels responsible, I guess. He's already carrying a guilty conscience. So he's like, hey, man, if we're going to survive.
Oh, okay. You took it that way. I thought you were... See, the way that he feels guilty about all the deaths already happening, I don't think your way makes sense to me. I feel like he'd feel extra terrible about killing those other people left out there.
In my head at the moment, it was like, hey, man, he's already like in a really dark place, and he knows they need to reach the mission, right? Like, because supposedly if they don't, humanity dies, right? And that's why some of them as crew are just like very cold about the fact that if they have to die, they have to die, and that's it.
See,
right?
Honestly, like, this whole thing was, I was going to ask you, which character do you agree with more? And honestly, like, the only person that I think had their head on straight, knowing the like full mission, like, guys, this is for fucking humanity. This is for mankind as a whole. If we don't get this done, that is it. We are extinct. I think the only person that had their fucking head on straight was Chris Evans. He did not want to do any of this shit. He's like, guys, we have the mission. We are ready for the mission. This place is designed for the mission. Why are we changing it? Yeah, so I'm with him.
I'm with him too, man. Honestly, and here's the thing: I like his character, even though he is used a little bit to be kind of expositional, and I didn't particularly like that when he's all like, "Just to be clear," and then he proceeds to explain the whole mission to all of them, and I'm like, y'all been planning this for 7 years, but I guess they did need a reminder of it, because like you said, he's the only one who's like, we're not going, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is not something that we're debating. Like, we shouldn't go. They're not alive. Oh, yeah.
See, I think it's actually kind of funny that you said that thing about the exposition, because I was actually like, I was thinking the exposition in this movie is not very much, and when it does happen, it never gets repeated. If you're not paying attention, fuck you, this movie says.
That is true.
There's the part right when Cillian Murphy decides that they should go get the extra payload. He's talking about how the payload works, and when it gets up to the sun, it says space and time is going to fall in on each other, and it's going to be unquantifiable. We're not going to know what's going to happen. And then at the part at the end, where we will get to, when that thing happens, if you didn't pay attention to that little part, you're going to be like, what the fuck's going on right here?
And I feel like this movie can definitely push away certain viewers because of that. I feel like a lot of people are not used to necessarily pay attention anymore, and people just go on their phones. But I'm not gonna lie to you. Halfway across the movie, something came up with work, and I had to like pull out my phone, so I was like texting. And then when I came back to the movie, I was like, well, what the fuck? Where are we? So I had to like
bunch of stuff
go back. But yeah, I feel like all of the characters make sense to who they are, right? Like the guy who stays as second in command. I will say this. The one character that I had an issue with, and mostly just because I don't have a real reason for me to have an issue with him.
Yeah.
But Cliff's character, the psychologist, it's like, I don't necessarily get him. I understand that he's supposed to be like a parallel, like, contradiction comparison thing to Mark Strong's character, who we're gonna get to in a minute. But it's like he is supposed to be the sanest one. Like he's supposed to be taking care of everyone's sanity.
They do the little joke. Like literally, I think in like the first scene when you meet him, where Chris Evans says, "My issue is that you're the psych officer, and I'm clearly more sane than you."
Yeah.
So they I would say they tease you into it. That ain't no fucking tease. That's just like,
yeah, I know. It's like in your face. Also, I'm not gonna lie, for the first 5 minutes that Chris Evans was on screen, no idea who he was. He looks so different with the long hair and the scruffy beard, and it's also 2007.
He looked like me, but pretty.
So they all go back to the airlock, and they're there, and they see like clearly they're fucked.
I was gonna say you left out a piece of information that clues something. When they're going through the ship, they get to their oxygen room, and it is flourishing. So if somebody was gonna stay on this ship, they'd have tons of air. Those plants could probably produce food for him or whoever.
Yeah, for sure.
So there are some hints. The only thing I will say, for plot reasons, there's no footprints in all that dust. There's nothing to show that somebody was there.
That was he was like quietly in place around. Yeah. But even that makes no sense to me as to where he was this whole time, because they arguably they go through the most important parts of the ship, right?
Yeah.
But they don't see him, and of course the footprint thing is kind of like a huge red flag.
Well, I will say, granted, it was dark as shit in there. When they got in there, the lights weren't working. So I imagine his eyes would have adjusted to something in there so he could get by. Because, like you spend some time in a dark area, your eyes adjust, whatever. So that's what I'll say. And then it'll get totally contradicted with his addiction to the sun.
But his hatred of the light, though, right? Which is like a...
No, because when Cillian Murphy comes upon him on the Icarus II, he is in that room observing the sun very brightly.
Yeah, but when he's like chasing after Rose Byrne's character, she's in the dark and she's waiting for him, and then like blasts him with light.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more aggressive than I thought it would be because of his love of the sun. Like you would think after all the fucking damage to his corneas, he'd be like, bitch,
yeah, exactly. me and my roommate were talking about that. We're like, should he even be able to see? And my response was, bomb the size of Manhattan, dude.
Yeah.
Just go with it.
But I will say this though. I'm skipping a little bit ahead, and we'll come back to the airlock. But I do like the reveal, because for me, the way that I know that I'm inside of a movie is if my brain goes in a certain direction that makes no necessary sense. But it's just I'm so in the movie that I'm not analyzing if it makes sense. But when Icarus says to Cillian Murphy's character Kappa, hey, there's 5 passengers, I was like, oh shit, is Rose Byrne pregnant, man? Like, is this about to become some like... And that's why for sure there is a tonal shift in the last act of the movie. But you go, what were you gonna say?
I was honestly, when you brought that part up, believe it or not, in the marketing, whoever did the trailer, they put that in the trailer. And like you would think, shit. Oh, that's a big spoiler, like that's the twist of the movie. However, when I saw that in the trailer, that's like I was probably already in, but that sold me. I was like, "Oh shit!" Okay, so let's go back to where we are. Airlock. Yeah. There's 4 people on the ship right now. We have Kappa, Cyril, Harvey, and Mace. So that's Cillian Murphy, Chris Evans, Cliff Curtis, and Troy Garrity. Troy Garrity's character is now second in command. He brings up like a fear of death. He's a bitch.
Yeah, he comes off as he's a little bitch for sure.
He doesn't want to die. That's his thing. So anyway, Cliff, one person, they realize because the airlock's blown open, they have to get back to the ship. One person has to stay behind to open it. They're dead. They know it. That's just the way it is. Cliff Curtis ends up taking that role. So Cliff Curtis, he knows he's inevitably going to die. Whew. And now Chris Evans' character, who's been super logical this entire time, knows the mission, all about the mission. Like, guys, we got to save humanity. Decides to make sure Kappa's the one that goes back, because Kappa is the only one left that can detonate the bomb. He's the only one that can set it up. He knows how it works. Troy, being a little bitch, he does not want to die. So he's like, I'm your commander. I order you to get out of that suit. I need to survive.
Which
I'm sure there's a manual.
Me, it's like, dude, you went on this crazy Hail Mary of a mission, right? And I understand that some of these like fears of death and stuff don't come up until you're in that situation. But his whole demeanor changes as to how he handles himself. And he just comes off as really, really whiny. Mm-hmm. And on the other spectrum of that, you have Searle, who, I'm not going to lie, I think chose to stay back solely because he was also starting to really get into this whole like sun god thing that is permeating that permeated the Icarus One crew, or arguably just Mark Strong, and he just murdered everyone else, but we don't know.
I think like it happens to three characters. Obviously Mark Strong, obviously Sarah, and then I think it happened to the captain too, because when you watch the scene, the captain, he could have lived, but he stayed because he wanted to see it. So,
I agree.
And even when everybody's telling him to go, I know we're just jumping back now, but when everybody's telling him, like, you can get to safety or whatever, Cliff Curtis, he's not even worried about this guy's safety. All he says is, what do you see?
Yeah, and I feel it's like, it's an interesting... I feel Alex Garland has always tried to include this like deeper subtext in all of his films. Like, I haven't seen 28 Days Later in a while.
No. Okay.
But definitely in this one, obviously in Ex Machina, and let's not even talk about Annihilation, because those like 10-15 minutes at the end are just like I don't even know. But I feel like, you know, this whole idea of all of them having to die so that the sun can reignite. He's trying to say something that is kind of lost just because of the whole spectacle of the last third act, because it does feel a little bit, you know, it just gets cranked up to 11. Mark Strong is just murdering people left and right.
While I was
do get these like glimpses of that.
While I was doing research afterwards, apparently the movie was way more like, there was way more religious aspects to it, and I feel like that would have covered it, but they decided, I think it was Danny Boyle, decided to tone down on that so that they would better find an audience and not alienate another. But
and yet, I will say this though, in terms of Danny Boyle's filmography, most of it escapes me at the time. But I was really, really happy with how all the visuals and the cast work together to create this like. First of all, you care about the cast more than you do in other, you know, everyone dies at the end films, you know? And I feel that that's key. And it's really interesting how he makes it work in a movie that's like 1 hour and 45 minutes when there's movies that are like 3 hours long and you're like, well, I didn't give a fuck about anyone in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Searle definitely wanted to die the same way that the crew of Icarus One dies, and he was just like, oh, man, I will stay for you guys, I will make the sacrifice. But I think secretly deep down he was like, yeah, no, this is the way to go. Sorry.
So let's get back to the airlock then, since you brought us right back. So I believe, can correct me if I'm wrong, Chris Evans figures out how they can all get back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they use, like, the paneling on the inside of the ship to wrap around themselves like insulation. Like insulation. And they say, okay, so he's going to shoot us. He's going to open up that, the lock. I don't know, now I can't think of the word. He's going to open the door. We are going to get shot out like a bullet into space,
Yep.
heading towards our ship. Kappa can open the door and get us in. Now, we are going to freeze to death out here. Do not have any of your skin out. Do not open your eyes.
And exhale slowly, which
Yes.
I'm not sure what it means. I assume it's because there's no oxygen and they can't breathe back. But yes.
So then we get the nice little score. I really like the score in this film.
And honestly, I can't listen to that song without thinking of the kick-ass scene where they're beating the shit out of them.
Right on. I didn't even occur to me, that one. So maybe that's because I heard it first in this. I don't know. But,
yeah, probably 100%.
So Cliff Curtis does the ultimate sacrifice. Opens the airlock. Boom. Got it. That's the word. Opens the airlock. They shoot out. They go. Chris Evans is all wrapped up. He's good to go. Cillian Murphy's got them both. The number 2 guy, he thinks, man, I've been out here a long time. I should be okay now. Opens his eyes. Oh, he freezes. He dies. Floats off. Shatters. Yeah. Good stuff.
Which, I mean, I think it's kind of ironic, poetic. I honestly don't know what the creative device is here that I'm looking for, but it's like he was so afraid of death and he's the one who gets fucked over. Mm-hmm. And it's not like Cillian Murphy left him to die. It was just like the force of the jump into space fucking sent him flying off in the wrong direction, which again, it's not like you're not shooting a gun, there's really no accuracy here. It's just like pure force pushing you out of this room. So yeah, they get it onto the ship and arguably there should be some damage, but Chris Evans is just like, just put some blankets on me, we'll get through this and we'll move forward. And they're all sitting. They're trying to figure out who did it because obviously it was not a malfunction. Nothing happened with Icarus, the computer. So they're all like, maybe it was Trey. And they're all like, but Trey, he's kind of like doped up. He can barely walk, man. But honestly, I was still like, it is Trey, man. Like in my head, it was like, sorry, I get it.
There is another issue, too, though. With the airlock being open and stuff, they lose even more oxygen. Now they can't even get to the sun without dying. So they need to lose one more person. So they take a vote, and they vote to kill off Trey. But they also make it so Chris Evans is the one that's got to be the one to do it. Because Cillian Murphy can't do it. It was Rose. I guess no. It'd be Rose and Michelle. They're not going to do it either. So that's
although
all
Michelle
you got
was really on board, though. Michelle was really on board for the idea, because she was the one that proposed it originally. She was like, "Hey, man, we're gonna have to like take out the trash out on this bitch."
Yeah, that's right. She did bring it up first. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say this though. Up until this point where you just explained it, I thought what they needed to do was lose 2 people. And so it was going to be Trey, and then Chris Evans was going to kill himself. I don't know why. Like I said, man, this is where I was on my phone.
Okay, just because they needed to lose 3 people. They lost Cliff. They lost Cliff, and they lost second in command. So they only need to lose 1 more person, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. And I feel like I understand why Rose Byrne has to be, the voice of reason, but at the same time, I'm like, yo, you're honestly arguing for one person against the whole planet. Well, actually, against the whole, not even the planet, because the other planets would die too, and we don't know if there's life on the other planets, but if the sun goes out, arguably everything everywhere would die in our solar system.
Suck it, solar system.
So I do like that moment where they're like, okay, we're gonna put it to a vote. It has to be unanimous, and then she's like, you can't have my vote, and then they're like, well, fuck you, we're doing it anyways.
Yeah. So he picks up a scalpel with a motor in it.
Yeah, an electric scalpel.
But when he opens it, there's already 2 scalpels missing. And we do find one right away. He goes to go kill Trey, and we see that Trey has already slit his wrist, and he is dead. So Chris Evans didn't have to kill him. They call everybody in. They come check it out. They see that he did kill himself, but then Chris Evans takes Trey's blood and he puts it on Cillian Murphy's hands, and he says, "I want you to know this belongs here." And I was like, "Oh shit, man, yeah!" And then they do a little scuffle, but running out of oxygen, so it's really a little scuffle because they just both can't breathe.
Yeah.
And then both the women are fed up with all the testosterone in the room, so they just leave.
Testosterone. And I love Michelle Yeoh. She's just like, there's no air, so you should probably try and not exert yourselves. And then she just leaves. She's like, fucking men, whatever. I will say this though, I can't believe that that it didn't go through his head that there was a scalpel missing, especially in space where things are so.
He's not the doctor though, right? Like, who would that have been? Would that have been Cliff? So maybe he could think that Cliff was using it, set it somewhere else. That was my question too, actually, because they describe him as a psychologist or a psychiatrist or something like that. I'm like, okay, but that means he has no idea on how the actual body works. Like, he could sedate Trey for sure, he has knowledge of that type of medicine. But like, if someone broke an arm or something, is that something that Icarus would have taken care of? I was just gonna say, what if Icarus just walked somebody through it?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
But anyway, Chris Evans isn't the doctor. Ergo, I give that one some leeway. Perhaps, somebody would have used it. He doesn't know that. Maybe it's in the wash.
Yeah.
Who knows?
They had to make dinner with it, Resources are scarce.
So they all split up. They start doing their own thing. Got to make this thing work. And then when we get to the part you're talking about where Cillian Murphy says, "Okay, so we can get to the payload," and Icarus says, "Negative. You have 17 hours of oxygen left after 14 hours, or 16. After 16 hours, you can't do hard things.
Basic.
Basic, and then eventually, you die before you get there." It's like, no, because she did the math, and 4 crew members could make it. And then Icarus says, "Yes, 4 crew members could make it, but there are 4 crew members." Then he names them all off, and he goes, "Negative. There is a 5th crew member." He goes, "Who's the 5th crew member?" "Crew member unknown." "Where is the crew member?"
Yeah.
"In the observation room." Then he makes his way there, and he realizes that it is Pinbacker, the captain of the Icarus One, pretty much burnt to a crisp, just like a bunch of boils on him, just popped and stuff, because he's been observing the sun, and he found Jesus out there. And because if God decided that, the sun should die, that is God's will. And so we should die too. We should just accept it. And so he wants to stop it. He said, "Who are we to take on God?" So he wants to stop this whole mission from happening. He takes a fucking slice at Cillian Murphy right across his chest. But he's still fine. It's all good. He acts later on ooh, I put on a shirt. Oh, that hurts.
I was going to say. But also, I feel like now that, that we're recounting the movie and everything, I feel like I understand why they put it into the trailer, that the big reveal.
Yeah.
Solely because if in the trailer, it shows passenger or 5th crew member unknown, then your brain just goes it's a fucking alien, man.
Fair,
it's a fucking alien, and Alien was still a huge thing, and sci-fi films are still
Alien will never not be a huge thing.
So I feel like it made sense, mostly because marketing teams are they're not even interested in selling the movie that they're selling. They just want to sell a movie that makes money. So I can see it working. And like you said, you can definitely see the religious tones and the subtext that Alex Garland was probably going for in that scene where he's like, "Who are we to go against God's will or the universe will or whatever have you?" And it's he makes a point that a lot of people would be in agreement with.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, if it's our time, it's our time, and why are we fighting it? I'll say this though. This is one of the few things that I'm not entirely on board with, and it's the fact that whenever Mark Strong's on screen,
Oh, the blur.
He's not really on screen. Yeah, where it's like, I get it. It works, and I understand that it might have also been a budgetary thing where it's like, man, he doesn't necessarily look great.
It
but
took
then
him
at
5
the end,
hours each
he
day to
looks
get in that
great.
makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, I don't entirely understand the decision, because when we do get a better glimpse of him when they, like, tear off his arm, which, yowza, that was intense.
Well, they de-glove his arm. They don't tear off his arm.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't understand. If it looks good, like, it looks good. I don't understand why this whole fake out blur music video thing happens.
I could say something, but it doesn't make sense, because then it would have to mean that the camera is real and like there's somebody there filming the whole time. I'll argue it's the radiation from the sun.
Oh man, that's like. But other than that, I think the third act really just is a fun ride for me. And like you said, if you're already on board with the whole space bomb sun reignition aspect of the movie, I don't understand why people had such a hard time adjusting to the fact that this guy is just murdering everyone. But I guess everyone has a different threshold for ridiculousness at some point, I guess.
I'm gonna skip ahead. So he kills Michelle Yeoh, kills her, stabs her in the back, and then he sets her up like the other crew was set up in Icarus 1, ergo basically implying that he did kill everybody and then set them up like a work of art. He goes after Rose Byrne's character, gets her pretty damn weak. He doesn't get Chris Evans, though. And Chris Evans, I think, went out like a boss. Once again, doing what he needed to do. So, fuck me, man. Why can't I think of his name? Pinbacker. He disables Icarus, shuts it down. The lights aren't working. Nothing's working. It's not running. It's stuck in orbit now. Now it's just not moving. So he takes this mainframe out of the coolant. It might not be mainframe. I might get my word wrong. But
It is. Yeah.
Okay. So Chris Evans, whose job was to take care of that, decides, all right, this is what I got to do. I got to fix this thing. But nothing's working. So he has to get inside the coolant to fix this thing. And when I say coolant, I mean fucking freezing, man. Like, this shit is not meant for humans. So he goes in there, and he's basically freezing to death while he's doing it. And he opens the doors for people to sit, gets going. The only reason he dies is because he can't really move. He's too cold, and his frozen leg gets stuck while this thing's going back into the coolant, and then he just starts bleeding out and freezing to death. I could just imagine that if you see his character, like, obviously the whole thing gets blown up at the end, but if you could see like him frozen there later on, you would be able to like pull out his blood vessels or something just from that stream of blood. That'd be so fucking cool to see. But anyway,
for sure,
he goes out like a fucking boss, doing what he needs to do to get this goddamn mission done, like we should have done from the fucking first place, you sons of bitches.
Which makes so much sense for the character, right? That he dies, like, he actively dies for the mission. It's not like, oh, he died as collateral damage. It's like he knew what needed to be done. He knew that he was the only one that knew how to do it, and he even tells Kappa how to finish the fucking mission because he's like the engineer, But Kappa is then forced to fend for himself and to think for a couple of seconds and figure a way out of the airlock, which he locked himself in, and then Mark Strong locked him into as well. And then after blowing his way out of it with the huge spacesuit on, because he's gonna punch a hole through the ship's hull. So
I actually really like that with the flame and then like the visual from behind. I like that shit.
It looks really cool. The visuals overall, the special effects and just everything about how the movie is told visually really holds up. in its style and its execution, and I think it's kind of commendable for 2007, because if you see other movies from that time, some of them look really fucking rough. But yeah, so he's walking. Oh, we get Michelle Yao's fucking corpse blown into like a
Oh yeah, in the camera. I forgot about
thing.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is arguably really cool moment. I don't know why that type of stuff just like sticks with me, but
No, that was a cool shot. That's good.
yeah, for sure. So then Cillian Murphy is making his way through the ship. He knows where he's going. He has to. And again, I got a little bit confused because I was like, okay, so the ship's gonna blow up, arguably because of the propulsion thing. Like once the bomb is activated.
Yeah, because the bomb's got the shield on it. So once the shield moves, the whole ship's gonna be in view of the sun, and ergo it can't take all the heat. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Which, again, I don't understand that. Like if that was so, if they had all been alive, would it like and commandeering the ship, how would have their path just stayed behind the shield? How would
I
they
guess
work?
we'll never know. We have to guess. Maybe
because they were supposed to go back.
Well, maybe it was all different. Like perhaps they could remove the shield and then move it over because they all had to change what was going on. Like they just detached the bomb immediately. Mm-hmm. So maybe there was something. I don't know. We're not gonna know. Don't ask that question. We
space logic. No, honestly, I didn't even think of it at that moment until now. But for me, what I did think of was like, again, because I got distracted for a second, I was like, wait, isn't Rose Byrne like still on the ship? Like, are we not addressing the fact that the ship is now gone and she was on it? And then I remember that no, like she runs into the bomb being chased by this guy, probably because she didn't know that the rest of the crew was dying or already dead. So she was like, if we're in the bomb, he can't kill more people, I guess. So Cillian Murphy runs into the bomb because you can do that. It's not like a solid bomb.
I know.
Like
I know. We have said he's saying he ran into the bomb. I really want to put this in your head, Daddy. It is the size of Manhattan. There are stairs on this bomb, okay? There are things to go. One of the coolest things is coming up, and I think it might be my favorite part. He runs into Rose, and she's weak. She's exhausted. She's just lying there. He's like, where's Pinbacker? I got to stop him. Where is he? He comes up behind him, almost takes them out. He grabs Rose. They get away. Fucking Mark Strong grabs onto him. He's holding him over the edge of this bomb. He grabs his arm, de-gloves it. It was a sick fucking shot. And then, not only that, when you think they're falling, it's the fucking size of Manhattan. It's in space. The motherfucking bomb's got its own gravity. It stops them from falling. All of a sudden, they're standing on the side of it. I'm like, that is fucking tight. Yeah, that is so fucking tight.
And it looks super fucking cool. Like, overall, it's such a... From the moment that he degloves the shit out of Mark Strong, you're just like in this sequence of very cool shots that lead you to them being standing on the roof of the side of the thing.
The roof of the side, yeah.
And then they just like, well, not they. It's mostly Cillian Murphy who runs into what you would say is the core of the bomb.
Yeah, I guess wherever he needs to activate it to, yeah.
Yeah. And so we don't see Mark Strong again, right? Like it's just like done at this point. It's just like, yeah, I don't think he has no hand.
Either he bled out there or he was just scared of heights. He's like, I don't want to jump and slide, I
don't know if I can do this. So he gets to the core and he does his thing and he activates the bomb. And honestly, at first when the like sparks start coming in because of how it's like cut between that and them going into the sun, I thought they were a little bit too late. I was like, oh shit, is it being eaten up by the heat of the sun? Like for a second, that's what I thought. And I was like, man, I wouldn't mind. Like this movie's already starting to get pretty fucking dark. If they all die, like if they don't succeed, that would be a really strong ending. Definitely an alien one, like an alienating one. I feel people would have been like, so I just watched an hour and a half movie of people getting killed for
Yeah.
nothing. So I understand why we get them to be successful in the mission, and we get some of the fucking best visuals on the movie in this section of like the bomb igniting itself and how the sun kind of comes up and almost into him, and you get a
But
little bit
then
of what
time
you were
stops
saying.
for him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And
Oh yeah.
and he's just there, and I think you get a little bit of what the captain got and what Dr. Searle also got, where it's like he's just staring at this globe of light and the power behind it, I guess, and how he's just like, well, this is not a bad moment to die.
Well, I think it would be super quick, but the fact that he's not feeling any heat is where, all right, man, you got lucky, bro.
For me, honestly, the way that the shot was like right in front of his face, I was like, are we gonna start like see it peel off and shit? Like that would be
like a Raiders thing.
Yeah, for sure. And then we just cut back to Earth to his sister, which makes no sense because he sent a message to his parents, but I guess she was also included in
They
that
forwarded
at some
it to her,
point.
obviously.
But it was, so she's like in Sydney, I think, and it's all like
Yep.
snowed over, and then the sun comes out, and that's where the movie ends. And I like that they're successful in the mission, and I do like that they all die. There's something about movies where the crew is just doomed that I really enjoy. I don't know what that says about me.
Nothing. You're good.
Oh man. Alrighty. So I've spoken about a couple of things that I didn't like about Sunshine, like the weird editing with Mark Strong, and is there anything that you would point out as something that you don't particularly connect to or agree with? Not that it takes away from the experience of the
Yeah.
film.
No, I'm trying to think. Mark Strong should be blind. There. That's it.
Realistically, he should be blind.
Yeah.
So, but I was thinking about what you said about how he positions Michelle Yao. So then what I'm
Yeah.
thinking happened with his crew is that he murdered them and then burnt them.
Yeah, could be. Well, here's the
right?
thing. I think he left the room, but he made it so, like, you know how earlier you could only see like 3.1% of the sun's brightness before it'll fuck you up. I think he basically set them up and then gave them a whole bunch of sun that burnt them up but kept the ship alive. That's what I think. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
I doubt you just went in with a blowtorch.
No, he definitely used the sun. They were in the observation room. The sun was definitely the weapon of choice. Yeah. Now the conversation's getting wrapped up, Larry. How about we go ahead and give our ratings, because we live in a society and people need to know the ratings, especially if they jumped ahead into this part only. But that's why I don't put a timestamp on it, so that they at least have to skim.
Just out of 5. I always ask, but out of 5.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I want to give it a 4.3.
All right, that's pretty like specific. I'm happy that you've taken the time.
That's just how I feel about it, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a nice little star review. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I think the experience is really cool. I think if you enjoy the type of film that just you're in it for the ride and you're in it for the character and the plot and the wackiness, you're definitely gonna enjoy it. I definitely did. I think I'm gonna give it a 4 stars out of 5. I think it's definitely worth the watch. I think it's a really cool, fun sci-fi movie. So with that, my cup of coffee's over, and I think your cup of finito And so that about wraps up our conversation on Sunshine, directed by Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland. If you made it this far into the show, thank you for joining us. If you miss Algot, let him know in the comments. If you find him on Instagram, you could let him know that you miss him. On
And
the
if
other
you
hand,
didn't make it this far into the show, you're not going to be here to hear this, but fuck you. No, I love you. You're good people.
Larry, thank you so much for joining us for this first episode into your guest spot of Films and Fika. And guys, if you've made it this far, make sure to share the podcast. We're on every podcasting platform, including the one that you're currently listening on. We're also on YouTube, which we put a fair amount of production into, and I think you'd enjoy it if you check it out. You can see us as well as hear us. And the links for recommendations, socials, all of that stuff is on the show notes. If you want to find Larry, more about Larry, we have other episodes with him. They're all delightful.
I have everything. I even have an OnlyFans. I'm not even fucking around. We're good.
Yeah.
No,
And,
okay, so I have a Twitch, some video games. I'm not very active anymore. Got my Instagram, which I'm not very active also. Letterboxd, not very active. No, I don't want you to have my Facebook. I think I even have a SoundCloud if you want to hear some stuff. I have a YouTube. I have the OnlyFans right now is exactly what you'd expect. It's just a dick pic. And and I was going to do I was going to read books and upload it there. I'd be like, so I'm going to put like art and dick. So like you got a mix of what you want. But basically I bailed on that idea early because I'm not very good at reading out loud apparently. So yeah, it's just a dick. There's just a dick
one
on
dick.
there.
Oh man. Alrighty. Thank you for joining us, Larry. Thank you guys for listening.